Well, hello everyone and welcome to another exciting episode here on the MIgardener channel. Today it's going to be a first for us. We're actually going to show you how to make compost from start to finish. And I'm really excited about this episode because we've never done it before. We've touched on a lot of different types of composting methods, but we've never touched on how to make an easy compost pile from basically house found ingredients. So this is what you consider an intentional compost pile. A lot of our other compost piles were just stuff we just piled up, and they were more of a cold compost. And so the first thing we're going to touch on is the two types of compost. You have on one spectrum, you have the more natural way, and that is basically just letting stuff pile up, letting microbes and worms come in, and having it take a lot of time. That's called cold composting. And then on the other end of the spectrum that a lot of you probably heard of, and that is hot composting. And that's basically where we as humans come in and we say, okay, I want this compost pile to break down as fast as possible, get as hot as possible, and really just get it done and over with because I need that compost now. So if you're not in a rush for compost and you really want a very good, basically fungally inoculated compost, you want to go the cold route. Because the thing you'll find with the hot compost is that as it heats up really, really hot, it's not going to allow for the fungus and the worms and stuff to necessarily move in right away. But over time, they'll all be about the same. But we're talking if you don't have an immediate need for it, I would personally go cold compost. But if you do have an immediate need and you need it now, I would recommend, well, not now, within the next 4 to 5 months, let's put it that way. If you need it within the next 4 to 5 months, I would recommend hot composting. It's the way to go. It is very fast and very effective. So let's get into how to hot compost since we already have done lots of videos on cold composting, which I'll post a link to those videos also. All right, so what you want is, everyone always talks about the carbon to nitrogen ratio. We're going to talk about that first. The carbon to nitrogen ratio is just a fancy term of saying you need two things to have compost. You need carbon and you need nitrogen, and they need to be in the right amounts in order to make magic happen. It's really not magic, but it's just basically 50% carbon to 50% nitrogen. You don't have to overcomplicate it any more than that. Just 1 part green to 1 part brown. What are browns, you might ask? Well, browns are basically any type of matter. You got wood chips, you got grass clippings over here, you got grass clippings, you got leaves, you got straw, whatever that looks brown, paper, cardboard, doesn't matter. If it's brown, you got it. Then you need nitrogen. And what is nitrogen? Well, one good form of nitrogen is green leaves. So you got green leaves, and that's a good form of nitrogen. Anything green is going to have a lot of nitrogen, but also there's other forms of nitrogen such as coffee grounds, urea, basically human urine. I don't like to advocate that because if you live in the city and you're dumping urine on your compost pile, sometimes it doesn't give off the best aroma. But you can use human urine. You can also use things like blood meal is a great example. So those are different nitrogen sources that are really going to give you that carbon to nitrogen ratio. Now, what we want to do is we want to pile everything up in a big pile, okay? You don't want to go long, you don't want to go short, you don't want to go long and short, okay? You want to go small and tall, okay? If you're going to make just a big berm, that's not really the way to go. The best way to get a compost pile is to have a compost pile that is 3 feet wide by 3 feet tall. And that's going to give you a very good internal core that's kind of going to cook like an oven in there. And so what we have behind us, that will bring you in close, is our cooking compost pile. It has been cooking for a couple weeks now. We just actually took the grass clippings and piled it all together, but they have not actually had a good amount of time to cook. You'll notice that the compost pile will cook very fast and then it'll slow down over time, and that's perfectly normal. But I wanted to show you what we have going on. I'm not gonna fiddle with it because we just flipped it, but I wanted to show you kind of the shape that it's in, so that's what you can go for, because that's what it needs to be. Because oftentimes people just say, well, I'm going to pile up stuff and hopefully it gets hot. And it just won't. You can't hope that it's going to get hot, because if it does not have the right dimensions, it won't get hot. Or won't get hot enough to be considered a hot compost. And a hot compost will get anywhere between 110 to 180 degrees. So that's your range that you want to aim for. So let's get in and check this out. All right, so this is the pile. Okay, this is a big pile in terms of the length or the width and the height. This is about 5 feet by 4 feet. It does not need to be 3 feet by 3 feet exactly. I should have made that point clear. It needs to be at least 3 feet by 3 feet. You can go 6 feet by 6 feet. You can go 10 feet by 10 feet if you want. But it just needs to be that 3 feet by 3 feet so that there's a good core in the center. Now, the next thing that you want to do is every single time you build this up, you want to moisten the pile. That is so crucial, because the microbes are what's breaking down, and microbes require moisture. You're going to find that the compost pile will not break down or won't heat up, even if you have the right carbon to nitrogen ratio, if you do not have water. It's so important to do. So what we've done is we've taken water, we've doused this about to the dampness of, let's see here, the outside gets a little dry, but let's check the inside. It's about that of a damp sponge. So a damp sponge, or like just a dish rag that does not drip, let's put it that way. And so you don't want it to be soaking wet, but you do want it to be moist. And what we've done is we've dampened down the whole pile, and we've piled it up. And over time you'll find it shrinking. Okay, and the outside, like we mentioned, will get dry. The outside will dry, obviously, because it's exposed to wind, exposed to sun, and all that kind of stuff. What you want to do is called flipping, and we're going to flip the compost pile just for the sake of demonstration. And imagine this is all kind of smushed down over time. Like, imagine fast forward 2-3 weeks. Okay, you're going to find this is going to just get all small on you, and it's going to shrink by about half its size. What we want to do is we want to take it, and we're going to flip it right over here. We're going to take it, and we're just going to flip it over, and we're going to just repile it up. And what that's going to do is it's going to put the outside in and the inside out. And that's a great way of ensuring that the compost will cook evenly, and it will continue to cook. Of course, when you flip it again, you want to remoisten. I should have said that as well. You want to remoisten this pile here. You do not want to just keep it as it is. You want to always remoisten. It's very crucial, very critical to the composting process. After you've done this, you want to just keep doing it for about every other week. So every 2 weeks, you want to reflip for as long as you can handle it, until you start noticing that things are getting a little bit darker, a little bit blacker, and you're going to notice some white fuzz. This beautiful white fuzz here is going to start forming. This is the bacteria and the fungi that are colonizing and breaking down the pile. And then after about 4 to 5 months, depending on how fast it cooks, you're going to have what we have over here. So check that out. All right, so now we are over to this side, and this compost pile is about 4 to 5 months old. We've been flipping it on a very regular basis, keeping it damp, and the thing you're going to notice is over time, the temperature will cool down. No matter how much nitrogen you add, no matter how much water you add, it's going to just cool down. And that's because the material is breaking down. It's becoming compost, or it has become compost. And you're going to find that the things that you used to be able to recognize, like leaves and kitchen scraps, are no longer recognizable. That means you've composted successfully. So great job. But you want to cover this. Okay, this is finished right here. Look how beautiful this is. And you want to cover this. You want to take a tarp and you want to cover this, because compost will lose its nutrients over time. See, check that out. It's beautiful. If you use grass clippings, though, you'll find it gets a little matted over time. But see, it's a little matted, but it's still broken down. It's still absolutely black. And if you if you squeeze it between your hands, see, gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. I mean, this is beautiful. This is a gardener's best friend right here. This is what they call black gold. So basically, like I was saying though, is you want to cover this. It's so important to cover it because rain and snow and stuff that is water-based will leach nutrients out, and you'll find that over time your compost pile will begin to leach nutrients, and the plants around the compost pile will get very green. All of the grass and the weeds, they'll love it, but your garden will not get 100% 100% rich compost because some of that richness, some of the nutrients have leached out. There you go. That is compost from start to finish. I hope you all enjoyed. If you do have any comments or questions, though, do not hesitate to post them in the comments box below. I know it's a big topic to get into. When you look at start to finish compost, because there's so much stuff that can be covered. But if you have any comments or questions, pop them in the comments box below. I'd be glad to answer them for you. I think it's something that every gardener should be doing if you're not doing it. If you are not making a compost pile, I have other methods like solar composting trash bags, slow compost piles. I'll post both of those in the card box and in the description box below. You have to be composting as a gardener. It is just so crucial to the whole circle. It is reusing your garden scraps, and it's remineralizing the soil to give back from what it's giving back the soil what your plants took out. So you must do it, otherwise you will not have a successful garden anything past like 2 years, because the nutrients will just leave the soil. So hopefully you all enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you all are growing bigger going home, and I'll talk to you all later. This is Luke from the MIgardener channel. See ya. Bye.